Barber, isn't it correct that you told our victim advocate today that that the defendant was picked up on the warrant when she called the police on you yesterday?
Yeah, she called police yesterday. I don't know for what reason, and they had ended up running our name or whatever, and that's how they ended up locking up. But the incident that she called for yesterday, she was just trying to make me get the rest of my stuff and go, but it was nothing physical or nothing like that.
Right, but it would be incorrect to say that there hasn't been any incidents since this incident in April, since she did call the police on you.
Majority, but I don't call that yesterday was a violent incident or anything like that. She just ended up calling the police.
Okay. Nothing further for the state, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. McLeod.
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 36 years old. She is gainfully employed. She is a native of Atlanta. As the alleged victim, Ms. Barber, stated, this is my client's home. So I would ask the court not to enter any conditions of her staying away from this particular location because she's the person on the lease and this is her home. She has never been arrested, Your Honor. So therefore, I would ask the court to give her a signature bond so she can get out of jail and get on with her life. Whatever the court decides in terms of contact, she's okay with that.
And Your Honor, the state's main concern here is that subsequent to this April incident, the police have been called back out to that residence because of whatever we want to contextualize this as that is going on between these two parties. So this clearly isn't a done situation because the police had to come back out yesterday, at which point they arrested the defendant on her outstanding warrant.
Okay. It's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial per the judge, 1 day anger awareness, no further violent contact with Ms. Barber, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Andrews and Ms. Barber.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We have next.
Position 11, Sullivan, and we do have some visitors in the gallery for them.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Brandon Rosenblum for Connor Sullivan.
Well, good afternoon, Mr. Rosenblum.
How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. Let's see. Good afternoon, Mr. Sullivan. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Sullivan, you've been charged in case 23 CR 002865D with 2 counts of criminal trespass and damage to property and 2 counts of criminal trespass. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Oh, that was a pretrial recommendation. No.
Okay. Yes, good afternoon, Ms. Bickerstaff.
Good afternoon, Judge. This incident occurred on yesterday and May 4th of 2023 at 15 Lakeland Drive. And this is where a neighbor of Mr. Darnell Pace, the neighbor's name is Mr. Michael Bunch, he advised and showed officers photos and videos of the defendant spray painting monkey on the side of Mr. Pace's home. This incident occurred on the 8th. When officers searched the defendant, they found an orange spray can on his person. The defendant did advise officers that he wrote monkey on Mr. Pace's house as a political statement, and he admitted to writing KKK on May 4th, 2023. There was a police report filed on May 4th, and where Mr. Pace advised officers that the word nigger was spray painted on his garage door, but he painted over it with white paint. And later that day, Mr. Pace advised officers that the letters KKK were written on the garage door where he had painted over the N word, Your Honor. Mr. Pace told officers that the neighbors let him know that it was a slim white male vandalizing his home. We were able to speak to Mr. Pace, and he told our victim advocate that he does not know the defendant, and that he's never seen the defendant before, and that he's vandalized his home 3 times. He did let us know that it was going to cost him about $3,400 to repaint the damage done to his house. And we let him know that we'll need some documentation from him for that. He also let us know that he's very upset and that he's fearful of the defendant's actions, Your Honor. And for these reasons, the state's recommendation is a $4,000 surety bond, $1,000 on each charge, no further contact with Mr. Darnell Pace, and to stay away from that address at 15 Lakeland Drive, as well as no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, Your Honor. And I would like to sound for Mr. Pace if he is on the call. And lastly, I would like to let you know that our office is going to evaluate this case for a possible hate crime.
Okay, let's see, Mr. Pace, if you're on the line and would like to address the court, you do not certainly have to address the court, but if you're on the line and would like to address the court, now is the opportunity for you to do so. I would need for you to activate your camera and unmute yourself, and I would have to swear you in.
Yes, this is Daryl Pace.
Okay, can you raise your right hand, Mr. Pace?
Yes,
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, you can put your hand down, sir. What would you like to tell the court?
Well, it's it was more than, it was three incidents. The first one was the N-word. The second one was KKK in red, and then it was monkey. So it was three instances that occurred, not two.
Okay,
I don't know the individual. So I don't know if you have any questions for me. I don't, but I just wanted to clear that up. It was three instances.
okay. Thank you, Mr. Pace. We appreciate you being here.
Okay, very good.
Yes, Mr. Rosenblum.
Thank you, Your Honor. Connor Sullivan is 23 years old, has no prior criminal record. He lives in Buckhead with his mother. He was born with fetal alcohol syndrome and has severe learning disabilities. I've known Connor for about 7 or 8 years at this point. It's very surprising to hear these accusations. Of course, his father is in the courtroom now. He has the support of both his mother, his father, and his stepmother. What we're asking for is a signature bond with requirement clearly that he stays away from, of course, he must stay away from the house and the victim, but I would request that he be released on his own recognizance to the custody of his parents.
Would you like for me to hear from his parents?
Yeah, his father is in the back of the courtroom, so I'm not sure how
Okay,
y'all do that.
They can bring him up if he'd like to address the court. I'm happy to hear from him.
Your Honor, good afternoon, Michael Sullivan. Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Sullivan. Can you raise your right hand for me?
And
Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you. What would you like to tell the court?
Your Honor, I'm shocked by what I've heard that my son has done here, or is accused of doing here. This is not behavior that I know him to be capable of. It's the first we're learning of this. We can assure the court that he will certainly stay away from this gentleman's home, and we will do all we can to correct whatever needs to be corrected here by way of restitution or other damages. Importantly, Your Honor, we will make sure that my son gets the proper care and treatment he needs to deal with issues that may be causing whatever behavior may be prompting these actions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sullivan. We appreciate it. If there's nothing further, it's going to be $1,000 signature bond through pretrial per charge. So a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial. If that has to be per judge, it's per judge. No further contact with Mr. Darnell Pace. Stay away from the 15 Lakeland Drive address, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to get out, Mr. Sullivan, but if you're caught anywhere close to Mr. Darnell Pace's home, you're going to be right back in the same place that you are. All right, good luck to you, sir. And you also, Mr. Pace, thank you for being here this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
So the
And
total is 4,000?
yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Rosenblum.
Have a great day.
You do the same. Who do we have next?
Position 8, McNeil.
That's. Let me see if I can.
Good afternoon.
How do I come out of this?
Miss, okay. If we can mute Mr. Rosenblum, please. Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. McNeil. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
I do.
Thank you. You've been charged in case 23 CR 002863A with simple battery. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
The first arrest for McNeil.
Ms. Bickerstaff?
Yes, Your Honor. So this incident occurred yesterday at 270 17th Street here in Atlanta. And this is where the defendant pulled Miss Elizabeth Cook's hair and scratched her face. In the warrant, officers did not note visible injuries, but we learned later that Miss Cook did sustain redness due to the attack. Our victim advocate was able to speak to Miss Cook, and she let us know that they are married and that they live together at that location, and that the defendant's violence has been escalating for the past month, and that they are currently in the process of a divorce, and that Ms. Cook also let our victim advocate know that she filed a temporary restraining protection order against the defendant this morning, and that she wishes to have no contact with her and wants her to stay away from the residence, Your Honor. I'd like to sound for Ms. Cook if she's on the Zoom call at this time.
Yes, Ms. Cook.
I'm here.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Cook. Let's see. If you would like to address the court, we're happy to hear from you. I'll need for you to raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Correct, I do.
Okay, you can put your hand down. Thank you, ma'am. What would you like to tell the court?
I just want to say the police were called out the day before she got arrested. And my building was able to get the camera footage of her meeting me downstairs, walking up on me. I'm blocking her out. She's cursing me out, trying to snatch my phone out my hand. She's telling me she's going to snatch my wig off my head. I literally had to run and call the cops the day before she got arrested. But unfortunately, the police didn't write anything up or anything. They helped me move some of my stuff out, and I literally slept in the car. This is the first time that I've actually gone through calling the police. We have had a really bad history of like arguing, lots of depression, just like it's just been really sad. But I never want to mess with someone's job, so I always call the cops and I just hang up because like I don't want that for anybody. But for the past month, she just basically decided that me and our dog were dead to her, and I don't work. She's the breadwinner in the family. And the thought of her having to help us kind of like relocate and things like that, like really make her upset. The other day, I think she took the insurance off my car. Like, and all I've been trying to do is just work with her to try to get this stuff situated because we are a team. But the day the incident occurred, she's just basically like, I've never had to do that and because I'm just like, I need health insurance, like, this is real. And it's like, that makes her really, really, really angry. Like I can say I've never seen this side of her before. Like, it's like she hates me. All communication with me is negative. I just try to talk to her. I've been trying to fight for the marriage. It's like, she'll just ignore me and just say mean things to me. And it's like, I just really don't know what to do anymore. Like, I don't know this person at all. So I don't know.
Let's see. Are you still at the 270 17th Street address?
Yeah, because this is all I have. Like, she has a job, friends, and everything else that can help her and she can stay with. Like, I literally have no one here. So I'm here trying to figure out what my next steps are going to be. And the thought, like, everything is joint. We're both on the deed. We're both on the bank accounts. And just the thought of me, like, taking money so that I can go or put my stuff in storage or try to find something, it irritates her. And even when it comes to our dog, we've had almost 4 years, her response is, I'll give him to a good family. When I say she doesn't care about nobody but herself right now, she doesn't care about nobody but herself. So,
Okay, so, Ms. Cook, so let me just say to you that I'm gonna order no further contact with you, and no further contact is gonna mean no contact whatsoever. Okay, and that
Well, Your Honor,
so
I'm sorry.
yes, yes,
I
Ms.
didn't,
Bishop.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I didn't state the state's recommendation.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, it's we're recommending a $3,000 surety bond, 1-day anger awareness for the defendant, no further contact with Ms. Cook, and to stay away from the 270 17th Street address, as well as no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Finley?
Yes, Judge. Ms. McNeil is 48 years old, Judge. She is employed. She works full-time as a high school teacher. She does have family and friends in Atlanta, so she does have community ties, Judge. And as we heard, her criminal record or lack thereof, she has no criminal record. She is also a retired military of 20 years, Judge. And while I do sympathize or empathize with everything we just heard, obviously Ms. McNeil is innocent until proven guilty, Judge. I am going to ask, based off of her community ties and lack of criminal history, that she receive a signature bond, but if not inclined, Your Honor, then I'd ask for a $1,000 surety bond. Obviously, Ms. McNeil, my client, wanted to stay in the condo. It was originally, my understanding is my client, Ms. McNeil's condo, and then LaKentra, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, was put on the deed, but I will obviously leave that up to Your Honor, Judge.
Okay. It's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial per the judge, 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with Miss Elizabeth Cook. Stay away from the 270 17th Street address. She can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that she might have there. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. And let me make it clear to both Ms. McNeil and to Ms. Cook what no contact means. No contact means absolutely no contact. No physical contact, no telephone contact, no internet contact, no social media contact. There is to be absolutely no contact between the two of you whatsoever. As far as the residence goes, I don't know if Ms. Cook plans on moving out or not, but at the present time, if she does move out of that address, then Ms. McNeil can go back there, but she cannot go back there, but on one occasion to pick up her belongings until Ms. Cook decides to leave that residence.
I have a question. Who do I let know that I vacated the residence?
You can let the solicitor's office know that you are no longer there, though. There should be a victim advocate that you have been speaking with or can speak with to let them know. Okay, anything further, Mr. Finley?
Nothing further, Judge.
All right, good luck to all of you all.
Thank
you. Position 3, Bay.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Bay. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we are conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Thank you. You've been charged in case 23 CR 002858F with battery, family violence, and cruelty to children in the 3rd degree. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
25 total. Alias is Reginald Green.
Okay, hold on. Mr. Howard, would you just hold on for a moment for me? Whoever the Zoom user is, just says Zoom user. Sir, this is a court proceeding. You need to conduct yourself as if you are actually in court. I don't need you leaning over any furniture. I need you to be dressed appropriately. I need you to conduct yourselves as if you were actually in the courtroom with me, okay? So otherwise, I'm going to turn off your video and may excuse you from the session. But you need to be appropriate before this court. You understand me, whoever the Zoom user is?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Howard.
Last arrest was back in December. Driving with suspended license. 2022 FTA. He got a 2017 intimidation arrest. 03 battery conviction. And he got a fugitive warrant out of Indiana. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Falk.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Witt, do you mind muting your screen just until I finish my presentation, and then we will sound for you, okay? Thank you, Ms. Witt. So this incident, Your Honor, happened December 2nd, 2022 at 32 Peachtree Street Northwest. The defendant, Ms. Tanisha Witt, who is here today, and Your Honor, I believe she would like to speak. They were in a verbal dispute, and the defendant threw a cigarette lighter at Ms. Witt's face, causing a bruise to her right eye. According to both the defendant and Ms. Witt, that is what occurred. At that point, Ms. Witt, acting in self-defense, did slap the defendant. This was witnessed by 6-year-old Taraji Green, and Ms. Witt and the defendant lived together at the time of the incident. Being that there is a previous conviction for family violence, we do have some serious concerns about a risk of reoffense here. I understand that it was out of Indiana, but it was still a conviction. So the state's recommendation is a $5,000 surety bond. That's going to be $4,000 for the family violence battery, $1,000 for the cruelty to child in the 3rd degree. Stay away from 32 Peachtree Street Northwest. I will need to ask Ms. Witt if that is still the address they reside at, because we were not able to reach her earlier this morning. No further contact with Ms. Witt, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, 1-day anger awareness. That's all for the state.
Thank you. Ms. Champion? Are you with me, Ms. Champion?
Yes, Judge.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Ms. Grace?
I did it already.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, no problem.
Yes. Good afternoon, Ms. Witt. This is your opportunity to address the court if you choose to do so. And if you would like to, you'll need to raise your right hand for me. Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. You can put your hand down. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew that I went above and beyond and went too far with the situation. I was the one that was more of the aggressor of anything. Long story short, it's basically my fault. I threw a shoe at him, and that's what caused him to throw the lighter at me. All I wanted was for him to let me stay 30 more days so I can leave and go back home. And I thought I was going to be homeless and out in the streets. He had took Taraji to his friend's house. So I don't know about her seeing that. I don't recall saying that, but I know he dropped her off, and I thought I wasn't going to be able to see her no more either. I just was in a panic mode. I'm bipolar. I have issues where I get into panic mode and I just run with it and hear things that I don't even know that he told me to come back home. And I kept thinking that he told me to stay out in the street. And all I wanted was 30 days. After I told him I had called and went down to the police station, I told them that I wasn't trying to put no charges on him or anything. I had changed up and walked out. And I finally, after like 3 hours, I got a hold of him and I talked to him, and we talked about it for about 2-3 hours. We talked about the situation, and he told me I could take the time out and it was fine. Cause I mean, never has he ever hit me. Never has he ever jumped on me, done anything of that nature. I've been with him for 9 years. He's the love of my life. I love him more than anything in this world. And I know that I suffered a brain aneurysm last year. I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for him. He's been taking care of me and her. I can't say that I would rather leave than to put him out of his home. Then if you guys aren't going to let us be together, because we reconciled, everything was fine. But if you're going to make it to where we can't be together, I'd rather him be able to continue doing what he's doing with his life down here, and I go back home. That was the purpose of the situation anyway, that we resolved, but we were waiting on our child to get out of school. But unfortunately, this comes out of the blue, and I had I thought it was over with. I mean, we've been doing fine, so it threw me off. I didn't understand. It threw me off by a long shot. I mean, people have relationships and they have arguments all the time, but he's the type of person that he tries to walk away from the situation. Like I said, he took off and he left with her when we were arguing. Then I came back and we started arguing again. And then I got more into the violent, getting all up in his face and pushing, and that was my fault. And he usually just tends to, he played me, made me feel like he called the police on me and he didn't. And I went down there and was like, if I'm going, you're going. And it was just a tit for tat type of thing. And I apologize to the courts and everybody for what I've done. I'm wrong. And
So, Miss Witt, this allegedly happened back in December. Have you all been together, living together since December?
yes,
And has this happened since that time?
no, sir.
Has it ever happened before that time?
No, sir.
And are you afraid of him?
No, sir.
All right. Any questions, Ms. Falk?
I'm just at a standstill right now because I don't have no other options, nowhere else to go, nothing to do. He's the breadwinner of the family. He's the one that takes care of everything. And ever since I had this brain aneurysm, I can't work as long as I used to. It's like I'm in the middle of trying to get on disability right now due to the fact that I can't stay working like I used to. I had a ruptured brain aneurysm and they didn't expect me to make it. And I did, I made it. God was good to me and he brought me back here. And that was my blessing and my testimony. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. So I'm wrong for even trying to insinuate that just because he was upset with me and want to leave me. I should have just left like a normal person, but I was acting like a teenager instead of acting like a grown up, you know. Maybe because it's love. You don't want to lose love. You don't want to, you know. I didn't want to walk away. I didn't want my family to be tore apart. And what I did in the long run was really tore my family.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Witt. Ms. Falk, anything?
You are no questions. I do want to put on the record, though, according to the warrant, the defendant was present at the scene, and he was the one who stated he threw a lighter at her and hit her in the face, and also stated the 6-year-old TG was present. Those were the defendant's statements that were in the warrant, not something the state just kind of came up with on their own. So I'm not sure what Ms. Witt's statements are today, but they directly contradict what even the warrant says that the defendant said himself.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Falk. Ms. Wells?
Thank you, Your Honor. What I heard Ms. Witt say was that she threw a shoe at Mr. Bay and then he responded by throwing a lighter at her. So that's the testimony that I heard. But Mr. Bay is 45 years old. Again, this incident did happen in December. Both Ms. Witt and my client state that there have been no other incidents since that time. My client reports that he has been in Georgia for the past 3 years. He has his high school diploma. He recently obtained a job with Third Point Solution, which begins tomorrow, which is a warehouse job where he will be making $18 per hour. My client states that he did not know about the warrant. He called law enforcement. He and Ms. Witt got into a verbal dispute. He called law enforcement to document the incident in case anything else happened in the future, but it was not his intent for her to be arrested, and obviously not his intent to be arrested. And he was unaware that the warrant was issued after he made his report. Mr. Bay states that the hold that he has out of Indiana is related to traffic offenses. I would ask that my client be given a signature bond. If Your Honor is not so inclined, I would ask for a $750 surety bond. Again, Ms. Witt is not fearful of Mr. Bay. They have continued to reside in the same home together. Per Ms. Witt's own testimony, she has several health conditions of which Mr. Bay is helping to support her through. So that'll be my request of the court. Thank you.
Okay.
Your Honor, if I may ask, does pretrial know what the hold from DeKalb is for? I know he has a hold out of Indiana. He also has a hold out of DeKalb, and I don't see what the basis for the hold was.
I don't think I saw no DeKalb though. Hold on.
I'm looking at it right now.
Hold on. Oh, that's for obstruction, giving false name.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so let me just address both Mr. Bay and Ms. Witt. Ms. Witt, I understand that you've had some health challenges. I'm happy that you are seemingly coming on the other end of those challenges. You all have a bigger responsibility than just yourselves. You know, y'all are grown folks, okay? There's a 6-year-old that's involved, and he has, you know, he has the two of you to look out for him, to look up to raise him. You all need to, you know, consider that as you go forward. I am going to release Mr. Bay to the hold. It's going to be a $3,000 signature bond for the battery family violence, a $1,000 signature bond for the cruelty to children, making for a total of a $4,000 signature bond through the jail. So I can release him to the hold and he can go deal with what he has to deal with in DeKalb. There's to be no further violent contact with Ms. Witt and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. So, Mr. Bay, I'm going to give you the opportunity to get out and to go take care of whatever you need to take care in DeKalb. But if you don't return to address these charges in the future, you're going to be right back where you are, okay? All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Bay. You also, Ms. Witt.
Thank you.
Position 2, Bailey.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bailey. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Bailey, you've been charged in case 23 CR 002857G with theft by shoplifting. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
It's his 8th arrest. He was arrested back in March, probation violation. That was in Rockdale County. Tennessee, I got a 2014 probation, 2013 possession of a Schedule 6 controlled substance conviction. Georgia, 2023 failure to appear. 2021 battery DV dismissed. That's it.
Oh.
Your Honor, state's recommending a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services. We are also asking that he stay away from the Gold Star package store at 5065 Old National Highway in College Park. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons. In short, the defendant entered the store on October 4th of 2022 with another unknown individual, placed a bottle of Don Julio tequila in his pants, and left without paying.
Objection to any of that, Ms. Wills?
No objection. Thank you.
All right, so it'll be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial. Stay away from the gold package store and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Bailey.
That'll be per judge.
Per judge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Position 12, Walker.
Good afternoon, Mr. Walker. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video? Can you hear me, Mr. Walker? Okay. Mr. Walker, you've been charged in case 23 CR 002867J with battery, family violence, and willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
9 total. Last arrest was 2018 ag assault. On probation for armed robbery. 2018 probation, 2010 probation. 2010 DUI and homicide by vehicle conviction. You're on probation for that too, based on the time. That's it.
So,
Yes, Ms. Bickerson.
yes, Your Honor. So this incident occurred May 6th at 2023 at 4498 Washington Road. And this is where officers arrived in response to a possible domestic violence fight. And when they arrived, they spoke to a man in the hallway of the apartment complex who advised that a lady was being beat and dragged throughout the hall on the basement floor. So when officers went to look on the basement floor, they did not see anyone in the hallway, but they they did hear a lady yell, "You hit me in the mouth, and that's why I'm bleeding." Officers made contact with that apartment door, which was 113, and they spoke with the lady identified as Shatima Pettyford. When officers spoke with, they made contact with Ms. Pettyford and they saw that her mouth was bleeding. When officers spoke with the defendant, he told them that his name was Yusef Ladson and that him and Ms. Pettyford were in a normal argument and that he did not know of or see any blood on her. Officers noted in the police report that they observed her lip bleeding. And when officers attempted to arrest the defendant, he forcefully began to move away and resist arrest. Officers had to tase him in order to detain him, Your Honor. When officers spoke to Ms. Pettyford, she advised that nothing happened between her and the defendant, and she said that she ran into a door. That's why her lip was bleeding. However, it's noted in the police report that the officers on scene had body-worn cameras that day, and they captured Ms. Pettyford's statement saying that the defendant hit her. The state's recommendation is a $4,000 surety bond, $3,000 for the battery, family violence, and $1,000 for the obstruction charge, 1-day anger awareness course, no further contact with Ms. Pettyford, and to stay away from 4498 Washington Road, as well as no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond. I would like to sound from Ms. Pettyford if she is on the Zoom call.
All witnesses now is your opportunity to address the court if you choose to do so. If you do, you'll need to unmute yourself and activate your camera for me. Doesn't appear so, Ms. Bickerstaff. Mr. Finley?
Yes, Judge. Mr. Walker is 49 years old. He is currently unemployed and looking for a steady employment. He is born and raised in Atlanta, Judge, so he does have friends and family and does have community ties here. As previously stated, he's not a currently employed, Judge. So finances are an issue in his life. We would not go against if we understand there's going to be a no further contact and a stay away. He does have another address where he is that he can reside at. Based off of his financial issues, Judge, I am going to ask for a signature bond, but I understand if you're not inclined, I would ask for a $1,500 surety bond for him, Mr. or Judge.
Okay. For the obstruction, it's going to be a $250 good bond. For the battery, it's going to be a $750 good bond, making for a total of $1,000 good bond. No further contact with Ms. Pettyford. Stay away from the Washington Road address. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that he might have there. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Walker.
Judge Morrow,
Yes.
bond for the obstruction, hindering person?
Right, for the obstruction, I've got two charges: willful obstruction, that's a $250 good bond, and for the battery, it's a $750 good bond, making for a total of $1,000 good bond.
Okay, I guess I have a different, let me look at the.
You have another charge?
Okay, yeah, on here it says, okay. So, okay, yeah, I see it on the calendar, willful obstruction. Okay, and how much was that bond? The first charge was?
$250, good.
Okay, thank you. I just have a
Okay.
different charge on the 3 card, that's why.
Okay, you're fine, thank you.
Thank you. Position 10, Shelton.
Good afternoon, Mr. Shelton. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Shelton, you've been charged in case 23 CR 002864H with simple battery, family violence, and theft by taking. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
11 total. Last arrest was 2017. Possession of a firearm by convicted felon. 2017, 2015, he was arrested for that same charge, conviction. 2014, reckless conduct, carrying a weapon without a license, obstruction, guilty. 2013, failure to appear. 2011, ag assault, possession of a firearm during the commission. He had 2 probation violations 2008, 2011, and an 08 burglary conviction. That's it.
Okay. Ms. Bickerstaff?
Yes, Your Honor. So this incident occurred August 8th, 2023 at 527 Oak Drive in Hateville, Georgia. And this is where Ms. Shamikia Davis advised officers that the defendant pushed her to the ground and took her iPhone. Ms. Davis also told officers that the defendant did this in front of their 4 children. Officers noted that Ms. Davis's clothes were wet. They appeared wet from him pushing her to the ground because the ground was wet. And when officers placed the defendant into custody and performed a search incident to arrest, they did find Ms. Davis's iPhone in his pocket. For these reasons, the state's recommendation is a $4,000 surety bond, $3,000 for the simple battery, and $1,000 for the theft by taking. 1-day anger awareness course, no further contact with Ms. Davis, and to stay away from 527 Oak Drive in Hateville, as well as no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
See, Ms. Davis is on Ms. Davis, if you would like to address the court, you do not have to address the court, but if you would like to, you'll have to unmute yourself, activate your camera. Okay, there you go. And raise your right hand for me. Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you can put your hand down. Thank you, ma'am. What would you like to tell the court?
I just would like to see him get some help. That's all. I didn't want him to get in trouble. I didn't want to have to call. I just think that he needs some help.
Okay. Do you still live at the Oak Drive address?
I do.
Okay. And anything further, ma'am?
No.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Finley?
Yes, Judge. Mr. Shelton is 32 years old. He does work full-time at Drive Time, which is a car dealership. And I know we did hear his criminal history. I believe the last thing he had was 2017. And Mr. Shelton made a point to say to me that he really has gone out of his way to ensure that he stayed out of trouble, and he had done so for a number of years, Judge. He has been married to Miss Davis for 10 years now, and they do have 4 children together, all of which live with them and that they have with each other. Age range from 4 to 16, and Mr. Shelton is the primary and only provider for them. Beyond that family, he has friends and other family in Atlanta area. So he does have community ties, Judge, and he did assure me that he would be at court and would return to court, Judge. So I was, based off my conversation with Mr. Shelton, I was going to ask for no further violent contact, but Judge, obviously, I leave that. Miss Davis didn't really say one way or the other, and so clearly I would leave that up to you. And I understand and respect your decision on that. But I would ask for a signature bond, but if not inclined, Judge, then a $1,000 surety bond.
Simple battery is going to be $1,000 good bond. For the theft, it's going to be a $500 good bond, making for a total of a $1,500 good bond. No further contact with Ms. Davis. Stay away from the Oak Drive address in Hateville. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that he might have there. There's to be third-party transfer of any minor children for visitation, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Shelton. You also, Ms. Davis.
Position 7, Jones. No, I'm sorry, Ricky Jones. Your last name is Jones.
Yes, let's see. Good afternoon, Mr. Ricky Jones. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Jones, you've been charged in case 23 CR 002862G with theft by shoplifting. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
11 total. 2012 probation. Most of his history is violent. He don't have any theft that I saw.
Okay. Ms. Bickerstaff?
Yes, Your Honor. So this incident occurred September 13, 2022 at the Walmart located at 970 Manswell Road. And this is where the defendant took luggage out of Walmart and placed it in the back of his car without paying for it. The state's recommendation is a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services and to stay away from the Walmart at 970 Manswell Road, as well as no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
Okay, I'm gonna send it through the jail, a $3,000 signature bond through the jail. Stay away from the Walmart on Mansell Road and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Does that suit you, Ms. Wills?
Yes, it does. Thank you, Judge.
Good luck to you, Mr. Jones.
Position 5, Hawthorne.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hawthorne. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Hawthorne, you've been charged in case 23 CR 002860C with battery. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
It's 10th arrest. He was arrested last month for battery DV out of Fayette County. That's open. 2019 probation. 2019 possession of a firearm by convicted felon that was dismissed. 2016 possession of a Schedule 4 conviction, and a 2013 probation violation.
Ms. Falk?
Yes, Your Honor. And as for that previous family violence or battery arrest, which happened in April of 2023 out of Fayette County, we were not able to ascertain if it was the same victim, but it was a family violence battery arrest that is still open. This incident happened May 6, 2023. Officers received a call of a report of a woman being roughed up at a gas station from just a citizen caller. They went to 8390 Sonoya Road in Fairburn, which is the Chevron gas station. The officer was then directed by a citizen who was present at the scene to a woman who left on foot. Officers then made contact with that woman, who was Ebony Whitfield. She stated her boyfriend, the defendant, got mad at her for putting $14 of gas in her car instead of $15 worth of gas. He then grabbed her by the throat and threw her to the ground. Officers were able to observe scratches to her throat. This, combined with his arrest in Fayette for DV, gives us some serious concerns for a risk of reoffense here. We are asking for a $5,000 surety bond, no further contact with Ebony Whitfield, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and 1-day anger awareness. We were not able to reach Miss Whitfield when we attempted to contact her, so I would like to sound for her at this time.
Ms. Whitfield is present and would like to address the court this afternoon. This is your opportunity to do so. Doesn't appear so, Ms. Falk.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. McLeod?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 29 years old. He is a native of Atlanta. He tells me that he is gainfully employed. He denies the allegations made in the warrant, Your Honor. He tells me that they were just having an argument at the gas station, and he did not strike her at all. He was just trying to restrain her because she had attacked him. I understand that my client does have some history, Your Honor, and that there was a recent arrest. I would ask the court to give him a low bond, not more than, say, $1,000 or $1,500, so that he can get out of jail and be involved in defending against this matter. He tells me that the parties do not live together. I was able to actually speak with the victim, and she indicated that she would prefer no further violent contact. She has a different address which she gave me from the one that my client gave me, Your Honor. So my understanding is that they do not live together. So we would prefer no further violent contact.
All right, given his history, I'm not going to have him have any contact with Ms. Whitfield at the present time. So it's going to be a $2,000 good bond, no further contact with Ebony Whitfield, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. I'll also put in there that he's to stay away from Ms. Whitfield's residence. All right, good luck. Good luck to you, Mr. Hawthorne.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, that concludes my business before the court today. May I be excused?
Yes, thank you, Ms. McLeod. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Position 6, Jones, Cedric Jones.
Good afternoon, Mr. Jones. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we are conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Mr. Jones, you've been charged in case 23 CR 002861A with battery family violence. I'm told by pretrial that this is Mr. Jones's first arrest. Ms. Falk?
Yes, Your Honor. This happened yesterday at 322 Decatur Street in Atlanta. Shazmin Minity stated that her boyfriend, who is the defendant who she lives with, struck her in the face. Mr. Jones admitted to hitting her with his shirt, but when officers met with Miss Minity, she was bleeding from the nose and the mouth, which I'm not sure how a shirt would do that, but that is what happened. According to Miss Minity, she was actually struck by him. According to him, he threw his shirt at her face. The two of them are in a relationship. They do live together at the incident location and they do share one child. When we got an opportunity to speak with Miss Minity, she did admit that there was a verbal altercation that turned physical. She stated the defendant punched her in the face twice and she sustained a split lip and a bloody nose, which is consistent with what the officers observed her injuries to be when they arrived at the scene. She did state that this is the first time the defendant has been violent with her and she is asking for him to return to the residence. However, the state does have some serious concerns at this point because it has literally been less than 24 hours since this incident happened. So we are very concerned about returning him to the residence with Miss Minity when this has just happened. The state's recommendation to that end is a $3,000 surety bond, stay away from 322 Decatur Street, no further contact with Miss Shazmin Minity, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and 1 day anger awareness. We would like to sound for Miss Minity if she is here.
It appears that Miss Minity is on the line. So Miss Minity, if you would like to address the court, although you certainly don't have to, but if you would, you'll need to activate your camera for me. Okay, can you raise your right hand for me, ma'am? Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, you can put your hand down, Ms. Minity. What would you like to tell the court?
Yes, sir. I would actually like to drop the charges against Mr. Jones. I do agree with the defendant that Mr. Jones, we do need some time to separate. However, right now he is to go back with to his mother's house for the time being. We do share a one-year-old child, Cairo, and Cedric is no threat to me or the community. He's actually the main provider in our household. Cedric allows me to go to school and be a stay-at-home mom to our son. These past 2 weeks, I've been studying and taking finals for a week straight, and Cedric has been working overtime for the past couple of weeks. And I believe that yesterday I needed a break and he wanted a break, and it got very, it was a lot of miscommunication. And I'm not in fear for my life. This is his first offense. He's never been in this situation. And I feel like this is a learning experience for him and myself. So yes, we are able to communicate and be around each other. But as far as like living in a home together at this moment, I feel like we do need to take some time apart. I am in agreement with that, but I would like to, if it is possible, to drop the charges pending against Mr. Jones due to this being his first offense. And I do feel like this is a learning lesson for him. I've been knowing Cedric since I was 17 years old. So I do feel as if, this would be a learning experience and this would never happen again, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Minetti. Ms. Wells?
Thank you, Judge. My client is 28 years old. As has been stated, this is his first arrest. He is originally from Georgia. He has a high school diploma. He and Ms. Minetti do share a 1-year-old child. Mr. Jones is employed at the Georgian Terrace Hotel. He works as security. Mr. Jones reported to me that he playfully hit Ms. Minetti with his shirt, and then she responded with violence, and then the fight went from there. And also speaking with Mr. Jones, he stated that he thought it was in his best interest as well to not stay in the shared home with Ms. Minetti at this time. So in light of that, I would ask for a signature bond. I would ask for no further violent contact. And I would ask for a one-time police escort if there is going to be an order of no contact. Thank you.
Okay, it's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial per the judge, 1-day anger awareness, no further contact at this point with Ms. Minetti, and to stay away from the 322 Decatur Street address. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that he might have there. As far as visitation with the minor child, there's to be third-party transfer for visitation, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Okay, good luck to you both.
Judge, how much was that?
$3,000 signature bond through pretrial. All right. Who do we have next?
Position 4, Grant.
And there was an ask for a breakout on Mr. Grant. Let's see. Okay. Are we gonna have Mr. Morris this afternoon?
Mr. Morris actually bonded out.
Okay, so Mr. Grant is our last person.
Yes, he's our last case.
Okay, so there's gonna be a breakout. So we'll be right back, courtroom 2. So I believe Ms. Falk, Ms. Wills, myself, anyone else need to be in that breakout room? Ms. Champion.
What happened with Mary Sharp? Anybody know?
The state made a signature bond request. That defendant was scheduled to be released at 3 o'clock per a felony bond order, and we wanted to make sure that she was not delayed in being released to the facility.
All right.
Ms. Gracie. Okay, Mr. Grant, I've had the opportunity to have a conversation with the solicitor and with your attorney. So courtroom 2, the bond is going to be a $5,000 good bond, no further contact with the alleged victim, a mental health evaluation and treatment if necessary, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Mr. Grant, Ms. Wills can call you after court today to answer any questions that you might have. I don't want you to say anything that's going to affect your case, okay? So she'll be in touch. She'll be in touch with you after court today if you have some questions for her, okay?
I can talk. Oh, I can't talk to you. I can't talk to the judge.
Well, I don't want you, Mr. Grant. I don't want you to say anything. We have the solicitors here. I don't want you to say anything that might be adverse to your case, okay?
No, I just want to say objection to the bond. The bond is very high. My financial situation, and I'm grown and on my own accord and stuff like that, and I got my own business and I'm self.
Okay, Mr. Grant. Miss Wills can speak with you after court today. All right. So good luck to you, sir. All right. Thank you. I think that completes our calendar for this afternoon.
All right, Judge Morrow, we're completed.
All right.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
All right.
Ms. Champion, good afternoon again. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, position number 1 is a $2,000 pretrial bond per judge is going to be reset further notice. Position number 2 is a $3,000 pretrial bond per judge, reset further notice. Position number 3 is a total of a $4,000 sign-on bond through the jail, reset further notice. Position number 4 will be a $5,000 good bond. It's going to be reset to the SAP competency calendar 5/23. Position number 5 is a $2,000 good bond, reset SAP 5/23. Position number 6 is a $3,000 pretrial bond per judge, reset further notice. Position number 7 is a $3,000 sign-on bond through the jail, reset further notice. Position number 8 is a $2,000 pretrial bond per judge, reset further notice. Position number 9, reset further notice, defendant was released. Position number 10 is a total of a $1,500 good bond, reset SAP 5/23. Position number 11 is a total of a $4,000 pretrial bond, reset further notice. And position number 12 will be a $1,000 good bond total, reset SAP 5/23. Any questions?
What you say number 12 was?
Number 12 is a total of a $1,000 good bond, reset SAP.
Okay. You all have a good afternoon. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, take care. Thank you.
See you next time.